My family gave me the worst room on the family trip. My mom said, "He's the spare. He'll take anything." They didn't know I inherited the hotel from my grandpa, so I showed them exactly who controlled the keys. Hey Reddit, my family always treated me like the failure of the group, so when grandpa left me his entire hotel, I kept it quiet. Then came the family trip, where they stuck me in the worst room and mocked me nonstop. Before that chaos unfolded, here's how it all really began. The family reunion invitation came 3 months ago. Same hotel as always, Grandpa's old place on the coast, except now the place was mine, and they had no idea. I'm a wine consultant, built a business sourcing rare bottles for private collectors and high-end restaurants. Last year I cleared close to $500,000 after expenses. But to my family, I'm still the failure who plays with bottles instead of getting a real job. My sister Zoe is the golden child. Always has been. Bank executive, corner office, the works. Her husband David is exactly what you'd expect. Loud, flashy, thinks his leased Range Rover makes him important. My Aunt Nora is the family's professional excuse maker. Every toxic thing someone does, she's right there with her signature phrases. Now, to be fair. Or, let's be reasonable here. Like she's the narrator for enabling dysfunction. 6 months ago, Grandpa died. Left me the hotel in a private trust. $28 million in property value, fully paid off. The will reading was private. Just me, his lawyer Connor, and paperwork that changed everything. I remember the last time I saw Grandpa alive. 2 weeks before the end. He was in his office at the hotel. He pulled something from his desk drawer. A vintage master key on a silver chain. The original from when he'd built the place 40 years ago. "This opens every door in the building," he said, pressing it into my palm. But more importantly, it's a reminder. Keys represent responsibility, not privilege. He handed me a folder. Letters, emails, documents, showing years of my family trying to position themselves as the rightful heirs. "Your father came last month. Brought David. They wanted to buy the hotel. Offered me 40% of its value. When I said no, they called me senile. Started talking about incompetency proceedings. That's when you changed the will? That's when I confirmed what I already knew. They don't see legacy. They see assets." He leaned forward. "Your mother wrote me 23 letters in 5 years. All about how you weren't ready, how Zoe should inherit. There's one more thing. In the trust, I added a clause. If any family member contests the ownership or spreads defamatory claims about you, a significant amount gets donated to the Coastal Preservation Fund. They lose access permanently. A booby trap. A consequence. Consequences aren't punishment. They're just reality catching up to choices. I wore that key on a chain under my shirt every day since. The drive to the hotel was 4 hours. I spent most of it thinking about a conversation I'd overheard when I was 16. Christmas dinner. Dad talking to Uncle Greg in the hallway. He's soft. Always has been. Tasting and fancy bottles. What kind of man builds a career around that? "At least Zoe has her head on straight," Uncle Greg had replied. I'd stood there holding 2 glasses, listening to my own father call me soft, filed it away with all the other moments that taught me exactly where I stood. There was another moment from when I was 14. Science fair at school. Built this project on wine terroir. Won first place? Mom dismissed it as a little project when I came home. Grandpa drove 3 hours that night to see my trophy. When I pulled up to the hotel, the valet recognized me immediately, but caught my subtle headshake. He just nodded and took my keys without using my name. Before I went inside, I stopped him quietly. "Normal guest treatment this weekend. Use sir in public areas. No names in front of my family." "Understood, sir." Inside, the lobby was exactly as Grandpa had designed it. My family was already gathered near the concierge desk. Zoe holding court, showing off her upgraded anniversary ring that David probably couldn't afford. David laughing too loud at his own jokes. Mom saw me first. Her smile dropped. "Didn't think you'd make it, Nathan," she said flatly. "Wouldn't miss it." David looked me over. "Still driving that old Civic? When you gonna upgrade, buddy?" The Civic was paid off. His Range Rover had a loan I'd seen him brag about online. 60 months at 7%. But sure, I needed the upgrade. "Maybe next year." Aunt Nora appeared beside Mom. "Now, Nathan, don't take that the wrong way. David's just making conversation. You know how he is." "Right. Making conversation." The hotel manager, Julian, was handling check-ins. He'd worked under Grandpa for 12 years. We'd had a long conversation 3 days ago about this weekend. He knew exactly what was happening and why. Room assignments started. Zoe and David got the Ocean View Presidential Suite. Top floor, private terrace, 1,500 square feet. Mom and Dad got the Executive Harbor Suite. My cousins Kendall and Brett got deluxe premium rooms. Then came mine. And for Nathan, Mom announced, taking the key card from Julian before he could give it to me. Room 114. She'd insisted on handling all the reservations and check-ins as the family organizer. Julian's face went carefully blank. We both knew what room 114 was. First floor, next to the laundry facility, 180 square feet. No view except the loading dock where delivery trucks backed up at 5 a.m. The cheapest, loudest room in the building. Mrs. Edwards, Julian started carefully, we have several other rooms available. This is fine, Mom cut him off. Nathan's practical. He doesn't need anything fancy. Practical, like she was describing furniture. Julian's face stayed carefully blank, but I caught the tension in his jaw. Room 114 was a legacy overflow room we kept for emergencies. We almost never put guests in it. David grinned. Gonna be cozy down there with the washing machines, huh? Aunt Nora jumped in. Let's be reasonable here. It's just a place to sleep. Nathan probably won't even notice. I looked at Julian. He maintained his professional expression, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. I gave him a small nod. Room 114 sounds perfect, I said calmly. I took the key card and headed for the elevator. Behind me, I heard Kendall whisper to Brett, loud enough to make sure I heard, "Guess we know who the spare is." Brett snorted. Always has been. The room was exactly what I expected. Single bed from a budget motel, tiny window-facing dumpsters, constant hum of industrial washers through the wall. Bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. I dropped my bag and sat on the bed. Springs creaked. From Zoe's suite, you could probably see the whole coastline. Down here, I could hear trucks backing up and someone yelling about deliveries. I pulled out the master key, ran my thumb over the worn silver. "Let them show you who they are," he'd said. "All right then, let's see how far they'll take it." Dinner that night was at the hotel's main restaurant. Floor-to-ceiling windows, ocean views, the whole luxury experience. They'd reserved the best table. My seat was at the end, partially blocked by a decorative pillar. David ordered the $120 ribeye. Zoe got the market-price lobster. Mom and Dad ordered premium seafood. Kendall and Brett got appetizers that cost more than most people's entire meals. I ordered the house salad, $22. Dad laughed when he saw my order. "Come on, son. You can do better than that. We'll cover you if money's tight." "Salad's fine." A server approached to refill water. Dad didn't look up, just snapped his fingers at her and pointed at his glass. "Excuse me," I said to the server. "Thank you for your service." She looked surprised, gave me a small smile. "Of course, sir." After she left, Dad frowned at me. "Why are you making a production out of simple service?" "I'm not. I'm treating her like a person. She's paid to serve. That's her job." Aunt Nora leaned in. "That's not what he meant, Nathan. Your father was just getting her attention." David leaned back in his chair, that smirk on his face. "When was your last real paycheck, Nathan?" "Honest question." "Last week. Client in Singapore. 6-figure contract for their private collection." The table went quiet for maybe 3 seconds. Then David decided I was lying and laughed it off. "Sure, buddy, sure." Zoe jumped in. "Nathan, I'm just saying, if you focused more on networking instead of your wine hobby, you might actually build something substantial." "Hobby?" "I'd sourced a 1961 Chateau Latour last month that sold for $85,000. I network plenty." "With who? Other wine hobbyists?" "With collectors in 14 countries. But yeah, let's call them hobbyists." The same server returned with bread. Dad waved her away impatiently without looking. "We're fine. Just bring the entrees." She nodded and left. I saw her face, though. The practiced neutral expression service workers develop when customers treat them like garbage. Mom steered the conversation back to Zoe's recent promotion. Her new title, increased salary, future prospects. Dad kept toasting her success. Nobody looked at me. Then something interesting happened. The head chef, Antonio, came out to greet VIP tables. He was working his way through the dining room when he spotted me. He made eye contact, gave me this respectful nod. Nothing over the top, just professional acknowledgement. A server delivered a note to our table a moment later, from Chef Antonio. He says, "Welcome back." My family stared at the note like it was written in code. "How do you know the chef?" Zoe asked, voice higher than usual. "We've talked before." Truth was, I'd hired Antonio 4 months ago, doubled his salary, gave him full creative control over the menu, but they didn't need to know that yet. David leaned forward. "You trying to impress us? Acting like you know people here?" "Not acting like anything. Just acknowledged a greeting." As the main courses arrived, the comments got sharper. David was on his 3rd scotch, getting louder. "You know what Nathan's problem is?" he announced like I wasn't there. "No ambition. Content being average while the rest of us actually build something." Dad opened his mouth like he was about to say something. Mom's hand landed on his arm. He closed his mouth, stayed quiet. I put down my fork carefully. "Define average. You know what I mean. Playing it safe. No risk, no reward." Interesting take. A different server approached to clear plates. Zoe didn't even acknowledge her. Just kept talking while the woman reached around her to collect dishes. Dessert came. Expensive items for them. I passed. Probably can't afford it, Brett muttered, not quite under his breath. After dinner ended, I caught Julian's eye. He waited until I was alone near the service corridor, away from my family. Sir, a word? We went to the back office. Grandpa's old space. Sir, I have to be honest. Watching them treat you like this is extremely difficult. I sat in Grandpa's old chair. Still smelled faintly of his cologne. I know. Then why allow it? Because I need them to show me exactly who they are. No filters, no performance. Julian nodded slowly. What do you need from me? Documentation, every incident this weekend. Timestamps, staff statements, security footage, everything. Especially anytime they mistreat staff. Keep it organized. If anyone crosses a legal line, I want us ready. Understood. After he left, I sat in that office for another hour, going through Grandpa's things, his awards, photos through the decades. Then I found it, tucked in the corner, a photo of me and Grandpa. I must have been about 9, standing in the hotel lobby, his hand on my shoulder. On the back, in his handwriting, Nathan, the one who listens. Before leaving, I pulled up the security system. David at the pool, networking, Dad at dinner, snapping fingers at staff, Zoe treating servers like they were invisible. Julian was already building a file. They'd spent one day building the case against themselves. Morning came with delivery trucks at 5 a.m. I'd slept maybe 4 hours. Breakfast was in the main dining room, buffet style. My family was loading up plates like they were at an all-you-can-eat that might run out of food. I grabbed fruit and yogurt. I kept my face neutral and ate. Zoe was at the buffet station arguing with a server. Her voice was getting louder. I'm sorry, ma'am, but the wine service last night wasn't complimentary. Do you know who my family is? Zoe cut her off. My grandfather built this place. Comp it. The server looked panicked. Ma'am, I don't have authorization. Then get someone who does. I walked over. Problem? Zoe turned. They're trying to charge us for wine. From our family's hotel. It's not your family's hotel. And she's doing her job. Back off. Zoe's face went red. Excuse me? Apologize to her or leave the buffet. Zoe stared, then walked away without apologizing. The server looked at me gratefully. Thank you, sir. Kendall had watched the whole thing from her table. When our eyes met, she looked away quickly, uncomfortable. They'd planned activities for the day. Pool time, spa treatments, yacht tour, premium everything. At the pool, David started a conversation with another guest. Older guy, looked wealthy. Within 2 minutes, David was implying he had connections to the hotel ownership. Yeah, family ties, he said casually. My father-in-law basically built this place. We're here for a family business meeting, discussing expansion plans, new properties. Always thinking 3 steps ahead, you know? The guest looked impressed. Must be quite the operation. How many properties in the portfolio now? David didn't miss a beat. Several. We keep a low profile about it. Discretion, you understand. I watched this from across the pool. David was networking using my grandfather's legacy as his own leverage, building business relationships on lies, using a dead man's reputation to make himself look important. The guest handed David a business card. We should connect. I'm always looking for strong partnerships in hospitality. David pocketed the card like he'd just closed a deal. By lunch, things got tense. The restaurant bill for our group came to the table. Dad glanced at it, then looked at the server. Charge everything to the executive harbor suite. The server nodded and started to leave. Wait, I said. Mine's separate. Dad frowned. Don't be difficult. I'm covering the group meal. You can settle with me later. I'd be expected to reimburse him for my salad while he wrote off their $100 entrees. I'll handle my own bill. We're not going to nickel and dime each other all weekend. Then don't. Everyone pays their own way. The table went silent. Zoe looked at me like I'd insulted a veteran. Wow, okay. Didn't realize you were this petty. I stood up. I'm not petty. I'm done funding disrespect. Left cash for my meal and walked out. Behind me, I heard Mom start damage control. He's always been sensitive about money. I don't think he's well. Emotionally, I mean. I stopped, turned around, walked back to the table. What did you just say? Mom looked startled. Nothing, Nathan. I was just explaining. You told them I'm not well, emotionally. Now I'm just saying intent matters, Aunt Nora started. Stop. My voice was calm, flat. You're lying about what you just said because you got caught. I heard you. You're telling people I'm unstable so they won't take me seriously. Mom's face went pale. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. Keep going. I want to see how far you'll take this. That afternoon, I had spa reservations. When I showed up, the receptionist looked uncomfortable. She lowered her voice. Sir, I'm so sorry. There was an attempt to cancel your reservation this morning. By who? Your mother. She called from your room phone and confirmed your date of birth. We declined the cancellation because only the booking guest can modify their own reservation, but I wanted you to know about the attempt. My mother had tried to impersonate me to cancel my spa appointment in my own hotel. Thank you for following proper procedure, I said. Thank you for following procedure. Please write an incident report. Her eyes widened slightly. Of course, sir. Julian found me in the lobby later. Sir, we need to talk. Your brother-in-law tried to charge a $1,500 yacht rental to the family suite. He told the marina we had a corporate account. Do we? Not under his name or your father's. He was attempting fraud. Put it in the file. Already done. The marina owner contacted us directly. They're considering pressing charges if payment isn't received. Tell them to hold off, for now. That evening was the formal gala dinner, black tie event in the hotel's grand ballroom. I'd brought a decent suit, except when I went to change, I got a call from valet services. My suit jacket had been sent out for pressing. When it came back, it was soaking wet and reeked of perfume. Someone had told the valet staff that I'd requested it be treated with fabric refresher, Zoe's perfume. She'd sabotaged my outfit by manipulating the staff. I called Julian. I need a suit, something appropriate for tonight's gala. Send it to room 114. 20 minutes later, a staff member arrived with a perfectly fitted Tom Ford suit, $3,000 retail. I'd had it tailored months ago and stored it in my office. When I walked into the gala wearing that suit, Zoe's face went pale. Where did you get that? Had it sent up. Why? That's a designer suit, Nathan. How could I possibly what? Afford it? Interesting assumption. David was watching me now with new eyes. The gala was peak performance theater. My family networked like they owned the place. Dad was telling people about our family's hospitality legacy. Mom was name-dropping Grandpa. Zoe worked the room like she was campaigning for office. I watched her thank a server loudly when a CEO she'd been talking to could see. Generous tip. Big smile. The server looked confused by the sudden kindness. The CEO looked impressed. When he walked away, Zoe's smile dropped instantly. I stayed near the bar. Watched. Took mental notes. Uncle Greg found me there. He had that look. That, I need to cross a boundary, look. Nathan, I was thinking, since we're all family here, maybe you could talk to management. See if we could get some comps on future stays. Friend and family discount type situation. Why would I do that? Well, your grandfather built this place. They must have some respect for the family name. Leverage Grandpa's name for free rooms. I'll think about it, I said. He smiled like I'd agreed. Appreciate it, nephew. Later that night, I checked with security. Uncle Greg had tried accessing the administrative offices, claimed he was just looking around because we're family. Morning of day 3 came with another crisis. Julian called my room at 6 a.m. Sir, we have multiple situations. The marina is demanding immediate payment for the yacht rental your brother-in-law attempted to fraudulently charge. Your uncle was caught in restricted areas again last night. 3rd time. And your mother called down at midnight. Told the night manager you were experiencing a mental health episode and that staff should not take requests from you seriously. There it was. The smear campaign in full effect. Add it to the file. And Julian, today's the day. Get Connor here by noon. Make sure we have the full incident packet ready. Understood, sir. By breakfast, the family was buzzing about misunderstandings with staff. David looked angry. Dad looked concerned. Zoe was in damage control mode. I walked up to their table. They stopped talking immediately. Morning. Nathan, Dad said carefully. We were just discussing a situation. What kind of situation? David jumped in, defensive. Nothing. Some junior employee didn't understand a simple request. What was the request? Just asking about potential upgrades. Standard stuff. She got weird about it. Julian had told me the full story. David had become verbally aggressive with a desk clerk when she refused to comp services. He'd called her incompetent and threatened to have her fired. Asking for comps is standard? I asked. When you know how to work the system, David said with this smirk. Some of us know how to get what we want. I looked at Dad. And you? What's your role in all this? Nathan, what's gotten into you? You've been hostile all weekend. Have I? Interesting take. Mom jumped in. Nathan, honey, we're worried about you. You haven't been yourself. You mean the way you discussed me with the front desk? Told them I'm not well? That they shouldn't take me seriously? Her face went white. I was just concerned. You were laying groundwork, trying to discredit me before I could say anything about your behavior. Aunt Nora stepped in. Now, Nathan, to be fair, your mother is just worried about your mental health. Stop. My voice was calm, flat. You don't get to reframe this. I heard what was said. Documentation doesn't lie. Dad tried the unity approach. Son, Whatever's bothering you, we can work through it. But you need to calm down. I'm perfectly calm. I've been calm all weekend while you've been treating staff like garbage, attempting fraud, trespassing, and running a smear campaign. All documented. David stood up fast, chair scraping. What are you talking about? The fraudulent yacht charge, Uncle Greg's trespassing, Mom's smear campaign, the spa cancellation fraud. Everything's logged. Zoe's voice went shrill. You've been spying on us? I've been watching. There's a difference. This is insane, David said. You're actually insane. You're doing it again. Dad stood up now too. That's enough. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but it ends now. We're family. You don't get to treat people like this and walk away. We're leaving, David announced. Come on, Zoe. Actually, I said calmly, you're not leaving until we settle accounts. The yacht rental you tried to charge fraudulently. All of it needs to be paid before anyone checks out. David's face went red. He stepped toward me. Close. Too close. Chest puffed out. You don't get to embarrass us like this. Not after everything. He jabbed his finger toward my chest. Once. Twice. Almost touching me. I didn't move. You need to step back. Or what? He sneered. Then he grabbed my arm. Tried to pull me toward him. Aggressive. Threatening. I stayed calm. Security. 2 security guards who'd been stationed nearby immediately moved in. Julian had positioned them there this morning, anticipating trouble. Sir, one of them addressed David. Remove your hands. Now. David laughed. Didn't let go. You're kidding. The security guard's tone went flat. Sir, remove your hands now, or you will be physically removed from the property. Something in the guard's voice made David hesitate. He let go. Stepped back. What's going on here? Dad demanded. The guard kept his eyes on David. This gentleman just assaulted the property owner. That's grounds for immediate removal and a trespass notice. The words hung in the air. Property owner. A staff member at the coffee station went completely still. A nearby guest whispered to her companion. Mom's face drained of color. You could hear a pin drop. The breakfast room had gone completely silent. Other guests were watching. Staff had stopped. Everyone was staring. Property owner? Zoe's voice was barely a whisper. Connor appeared from the lobby, briefcase in hand. Perfect timing. Julian had called him earlier. Good morning, everyone. I'm Connor, Mr. Edwards' attorney. I believe we have some matters to discuss. Dad found his voice. This is ridiculous. Nathan doesn't own this hotel. Actually, he does, Connor said calmly. And it's fully documented. Mr. Edwards inherited the property through a private trust established by his grandfather 6 months ago. Mom's face had gone completely pale. No, that's not right. If anyone was getting this hotel, your daughter, I finished. Or your husband. Or David. Yeah, Grandpa mentioned you all felt that way. More guests had gathered. This was becoming a scene. Brett naturally had his phone out, recording everything. David was shaking his head. This is a setup. You manipulated him. Connor pulled out a folder. Your grandfather was fully competent when he established the trust. We have medical evaluations, psychiatric clearance, and detailed documentation showing years of your family's attempts to acquire the property. We tried to buy it legitimately, Dad protested. At 40% of market value, I said. After calling him senile. After discussing incompetency proceedings. Dad's mouth opened, closed, no words. I pulled out my own folder. Attempted fraud with the yacht rental, trespassing in restricted areas, systematic mistreatment of employees, a documented smear campaign where my mother told staff I was mentally unstable and shouldn't be taken seriously. Mom made this sound. Half gasp, half sob. Nathan, please what? Pretend this didn't happen? A hotel guest, older woman in expensive jewelry, spoke up. Excuse me, but did you just say this young man owns the hotel? Yes, ma'am, Connor confirmed. For 6 months now. She looked at my family with barely concealed disgust. And you've been treating him like this? In his own establishment? Mom tried to salvage something. You don't understand. This is a family matter. It stopped being private when it involved my staff and my property, I said. David's face went red. This is insane. You don't get to do this. The security guards stepped closer. They'd been watching him all morning. Actually, I said calmly, most of your charges have been fraudulently attempted, or you've tried to have them removed through manipulation. The marina wants payment. I can contact law enforcement right now if needed. His face went from red to pale in seconds. But you won't, Dad said, trying to sound confident. Because we're family. I looked at him for a long moment. Then something in me cracked. Just a little. My hands were shaking. I had to clench them to keep steady. You're right about one thing. I'm not calling the police. Because unlike you, I'm not interested in humiliation. I'm interested in consequences. I had to pause, take a breath. That soft comment from years ago was echoing in my head. The urge to prove him wrong was almost overwhelming, but I stayed calm, focused. I nodded to the security guards. Escort Mr. David off the property. Immediately. He's banned from returning. File the trespass notice. What? Zoe's voice went shrill. You can't kick him out. I own the building. Yes, I can. The guards started moving David toward the exit. He was struggling, shouting, This is illegal. I'll sue you. Julian stepped forward professionally. We'll need to discuss new room arrangements and outstanding balances. That's when it really hit them. This wasn't theater. This was a power shift happening in real time. I turned to Dad. You're moving out of the executive suite. Your stay is terminated unless you agree to move to standard accommodations under a new payment agreement today. Comply or check out entirely. Nathan, son, please. After everything, you call me son. My voice was quieter now, almost sad. You called me soft to relatives when I was 16. You tried to buy this hotel from Grandpa for 40% of its value. Called him senile when he refused. All documented. His mouth opened, closed. No words. Julian appeared with 2 staff members and a luggage cart. Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, we'll help you relocate if you choose to stay under the new terms. The lobby had filled with guests. They all watched as my parents' belongings were loaded onto the cart. Dad tried one more time. We can discuss this privately. Connor stepped forward. You can accept the new terms or check out entirely. Your choice, sir. Dad went quiet. Followed the luggage cart. Mom found her voice. After everything I did for you, I'm your mother. The tears that followed felt rehearsed, performative. I looked at Uncle Greg. You're checking out today. Now. The trespassing is documented. You have 2 hours. He started to protest. I held up my hand. 2 hours. Zoe tried once more. Soft voice, gentle approach. Nathan, what do you want from us? I wanted respect. You wanted a resource. Those aren't the same thing. Aunt Nora, who'd been quiet, finally spoke. Now, Nathan, to be fair, no. My voice was flat. No more, to be fair. No more excuses. You've spent this entire weekend making excuses for terrible behavior. That ends now. She looked hurt. We had no idea you felt this way. You weren't paying attention. Connor cleared his throat. There's one more thing. The trust includes a specific clause. If any family member contests the ownership or spreads lies about Mr. Edwards, a substantial amount will be donated to the Coastal Preservation Fund, and that person loses access permanently. Everyone went very still. So choose your next moves carefully, I said. The crowd was still watching. Brett was still filming. My family was finally understanding they'd underestimated the wrong person. The next few hours were chaos. Managed chaos. David was escorted off the property. Zoe went with him, crying. Real tears this time, real distress. As they loaded the Range Rover, I headed to the front desk. The junior clerk who'd stood her ground against David was working her shift. She looked exhausted. Excuse me, I said. Lucy, right? She turned, nervous. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about all the trouble. You didn't cause trouble. You did exactly what you should have done. Someone tried to compromise you and you refused. That takes courage. Her eyes went wide. Oh, thank you, sir. I handed her an envelope. $500 bonus. For maintaining integrity. You represented this hotel the way my grandfather would have wanted. She opened it, stared at the check. Her hands started shaking. Sir, I just did my job. Exactly. And your job will never include tolerating abuse from guests. If anyone ever pressures you like that again, you call me directly. Understood? She nodded, eyes filling with tears. Thank you. Thank you so much. After she left, Julian appeared beside me. That was good of you, sir. It's the right thing. Dad and Mom moved to a standard room without much fight. The reality had set in. Uncle Greg checked out within the hour, just loaded his car, and left. That afternoon, I called a meeting with all frontline staff. Housekeeping, front desk, restaurant servers. Everyone who'd been affected. They gathered in the employee break room, nervous, uncertain. What happened this weekend was unacceptable, I started. My family treated you poorly. Some were threatened, others pressured, some blamed for things you didn't do. That ends permanently. I looked around the room. If anyone ever treats you the way my family did, you have my permission to refuse service. Call security. Call me directly. Money doesn't buy permission to degrade people. Clear? They nodded. A server from the restaurant raised her hand. What if it's another wealthy guest? Someone important? Same rules apply. Always. Julian spoke up. Your grandfather used to say something. A luxury hotel isn't defined by its marble or its views. It's defined by whether everyone inside it feels valued. That includes staff. Always. Exactly, I said. That's the standard? And if anyone makes you feel otherwise, you come to me. No exception. After the meeting, several staff thanked me personally. One housekeeper, older woman who'd been here since Grandpa's time, squeezed my hand. Your grandfather would be so proud, she whispered. He always said you understood what this place was really about. Another server, young guy who'd witnessed Dad's behavior, approached. Sir, I just want to say thank you for standing up for us. Most owners wouldn't. Then most owners are wrong, I said. Brett tried to post his clipped video online. Made me look like the villain kicking out family. The video started getting attention. Comments were harsh. Then Connor released a formal statement, and guests shared their own phone footage from public areas. The marina confirmed the attempted charge. The pattern was obvious. The narrative shifted within hours. Comments changed to, "The family is toxic." He showed incredible restraint. I would have kicked them out day one. Dad's professional network saw the documentation. His LinkedIn activity dropped. Colleagues who usually engaged suddenly went silent. Zoe's carefully curated social media took a hit. Comments asking if this was the same person from the hotel incident. Her bank had questions about professional conduct. David's wealth persona collapsed. People saw him attempting fraud and pressuring staff. His social connections dried up. That night, Zoe came to my office, alone. Can we talk? I gestured to a chair. She sat but didn't speak for a moment. When she did, her voice was defensive. I didn't know about David's fraud attempts. I had no idea. But you knew how he treated staff. You saw it. You did it yourself. Her face flushed. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm just saying I didn't know everything. You knew enough. Silence. Then something shifted in her expression. The defensiveness cracked. You're right. Her voice was quieter now. I knew enough. I saw it and I said nothing because it was easier. She looked at me. I've been thinking about something Grandpa said. I was maybe 20. Just got a promotion. He said, success without character is just noise. I thought he was being judgmental. She paused. I built noise. You built character. That's why he chose you. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know I finally see it. You show up without agenda. You do the right thing when no one's watching. Why now? Because my marriage is ending. My job is on thin ice. My reputation is damaged, and I can't blame you because we did this. I did this. She stood. I'm leaving tomorrow, paying my bill, following rules. Then I'm going to figure out how to build something real. At the door, she stopped, looked back. Is there any chance? I hear you, I said. That doesn't buy access. She nodded slowly. I understand. Grandpa was right about you. The week after was quiet. No family group chat, no holiday planning calls. Silence. Kendall sent one text. I need to tell you something. No expectations. I called her that night. I've spent 10 years watching them treat you like garbage, she said. Never defended you. Silence is complicity. I was complicit. Why now? Because I watched you stay calm while they attacked. Set boundaries without cruelty. That's integrity. I spent a decade watching it get abused without saying a word. What do you want, Kendall? Nothing. Just telling the truth out loud. You deserved better. They were wrong. I was wrong. First, real accountability. Truth counts for something, I said. We talked for a while. Real conversation. It felt different. 2 weeks later, Connor emailed. 3 family members requested meetings. No. The boundary held. Mom sent cards. Generic apologies. I didn't respond. Dad never reached out. Pride wouldn't let him. A month later, I found Grandpa's journal entry from 6 months before he died. Nathan came by today. Didn't ask for anything. Just checked on me. The others call when they need something. He calls when he wants nothing. That's why he gets everything. Not because he's perfect, because he understands this isn't a prize. It's a responsibility. And he's the only one who knows the difference. 3 months later, I spoke at the Coastal Business Association Summit. Legacy building and family businesses. I talked about what Grandpa taught me, what it means to inherit something worth protecting. Didn't mention my family by name. Didn't need to. After the speech, a young woman approached. Hospitality student. How do you handle it when people you love treat you like you're worthless? You set boundaries. Document patterns. When they cross the line, let consequences do the teaching. That must have been hard. Harder was spending 30 years hoping they'd change. People don't change from hope. They change from consequences. That evening, I walked the property. Same route Grandpa took. Out to the beach. Sunset painting the ocean. I pulled out the master key. He'd given me the power to choose. Who deserved access? What boundaries meant? My family thought I was easy. I was patient. There's a difference. The hotel thrived. Kendall stopped by monthly. Real conversations. No agenda. I didn't hear from the rest. That was fine. The entrance still had Grandpa's sign. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Welcome home. I wore the key every day. Reminder of responsibility. My hotel. My responsibility. My choice. They wanted a convenient relative to use. Didn't expect the backbone. Their mistake, not mine. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.